The key in turning a language statement into a math statement, or in turning a math statement into a language statement, is to realize that sometimes two different looking things can actually be exactly the same thing. Of and times are exactly the same thing. So here we have 3/4 of 7. That is exactly the same as 3/4 times 7. Or if you start out with 3/4 times 7, that's exactly the same as 3/4 of 7. Why? Because of is exactly the same as times. These two things are literally the exact same thing. Let's take a look at the next one. You recently figured out that is means equals. That means if you see the word is, you can just change it into an equal sign. X is 20 is exactly the same as x equals 20. X equals 20 is exactly the same as x is 20. Why? Because is and equals are the same exact thing. We have m% of 7. Now we have a few things going on. Well, percent, we know that means over 100. Why? Because per means divided by, and cent means 100. For example, a century is 100 years. So m% is exactly the same as m over 100. M over 100 is exactly the same as m%. Of is exactly the same as times. Times is exactly the same as of. These are the same thing. And of course, 7 is the same as 7. This statement here is exactly identical to this statement here. M% of 7 written like this is the same as m over 100 times 7 written like this. These are mathematically identical. There's no difference between these two things. They are literally the exact same thing. And that's the core of language to math, realizing that the math statement and the language statement can be exactly the same if we replace the words with the symbols that are exactly the same as those words.